is it that he can stand there in the face of this overwhelming evidence and be taken seriously? I'm not asking now about Barack Obama as an intellectual. I'm asking about the people listening to him.
That's the question of the hour. You have people who don't stop and think. You've had dumbed down education. You've had propagandistic education. And people, what he's saying connects with all those kinds of things.
One thing I always gotta agree with is that us as Americans, we could still know all the facts and still vote for the piece of crap. You understand what I mean? This right here is Thomas Sowell. Why do Americans know the facts and still vote for liars? Sit back and react with your boy. If you like reactions like this, consider hitting that like button. Definitely subscribe to my channel and also hit the notification bell. Let me stop wasting your time. Let's go ahead and press play. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about.
People don't. They often speak of people who are rich as people who happen to have money.
Right.
Extremely few people happen to have money.
There aren't that many Rockefellers.
Well, but Rockefeller didn't happen to have money.
But his heirs happen to have it.
Heirs happen to have money.
So you're drawing
Rockefeller reduced the cost of oil to a fraction of what it had been before him, benefiting millions of people across the country. Therefore, they bought their oil from Rockefeller rather than from people who had more expensive ways of producing oil. For example, one of them being the use of tank cars on the railroads. The progressives were livid that Rockefeller could ship his oil at a cheaper price than the other producers. It never occurred to them that Rockefeller shipped his oil in tank cars, which are a hell of a lot cheaper to transport than in barrels. Right. I mean, we still measure oil in barrels today, but we ship it in tankers.
Right.
And that's how he became a multi-billionaire.
So we know from the study of economic history that wealthy people get wealthy by creating jobs, lowering prices of products. Rather than Bill Gates, the richest man in America, one of the richest men in the world, invented an entire industry that simply didn't. All right, we know all that. I
wouldn't say invent.
And we also know, as we mentioned earlier, that cutting taxes worked to spur economic growth in the 20s. Again, under John Kennedy in the 60s. Actually, it was Johnson who ended up. Most of the tax cuts took place. Let's call it in Ronald Reagan in the 1980s.
And then George W. Bush.
And George W. Bush. So how is it that he can stand there in the face of this overwhelming evidence and be taken seriously? I'm not asking now about Barack Obama as an intellectual. I'm asking about the people listening to him.
That's the question of the hour. You have people who don't stop and think. You've had dumbed down education. You've had propagandistic education. And people, what he's saying connects with all those kinds of things.
All right.
In fact, it goes the other way too. I was just doing some research on Detroit and its decline, and they kept raising the city income tax. And every time they raised the tax rate, the tax revenues went down. In 2008, Charles Gibson put this to Obama when he was a candidate.
One thing I've always said, people never do their due diligence when it comes to picking a candidate. They don't go and see from the start of how they don't see where all their power, and it's as if they can care less to dig deep. You understand? I call them surface dwellers. They don't really like to see their history, to see what they really contributed to the community, to the state, or to the country. They just go with what the media says. Media says that the person's bad, that person's bad. Media say they good, hey, they say they're good. But they never realize all of these candidates have a past. Some of them are very bad. Very, very bad.
Why are you for raising the tax rate on the rich? Because you often get more revenue at lower tax rates than at the higher tax rates. And he said, well, it's a question of social justice. In other words, he doesn't really care about whether the government raises more revenues. If he can get people mad at the rich and they vote for him, then it's a success. Yep. Just as Coleman Young's policies in Detroit were a great political success for him.
I never understood that, but I remember growing up, believing to think to be a Democrat, you're supposed to hate the rich. I remember being a kid like this, saying, I don't like rich people, because that was taught. But now, as an adult, I see that was the most ignorant thing to tell anybody. You understand? So with that being said, make sure you're out here doing your due diligence. Don't just let these people tell you what it is. You understand? Because 9 times out of 10, the story goes deeper than that.
It ruined Detroit, but it didn't.
I just you and I happened to be reading on a similar subject. From 1950 to the present, 2 things happened. One was that the population of the United States of America roughly doubled, and the other was that the population of Detroit fell by roughly half.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
How does something like that happen? You let me know. Make sure you go in the comments. Make sure you go in the comments, run it up, flood it up. Let me know your thoughts on this video right here. If you like reactions like this, consider hitting that like button. Definitely subscribe to my channel and also hit the notification bell. See you in the next one.